So we did some polls again. We kind of do polls every week, but since we reviewed The Boys last week, we asked the Twitterverse what everybody thought of it. Overwhelmingly, 34% said they're just not interested in The Boys. 31% was people so ready for season 2. Actually, I guess the majority really liked it, because I also had loved it as an answer. So like 52% of the people really excited about The Boys. I think we're in the minority thinking it was just sort of okay.
I found this actually difficult to pick an option, because I was between it was okay and loved it. I think I thought it was good, but not great.
I think part of my problem with The Boys was based on the trailers, I had a certain idea of what it was going to be like, and then we got into the show and it was nothing like what I imagined from the trailer. And so there was this kind of like disconnect. I was expecting certain things and they just didn't happen, so I was kind of like, what the fuck? So, I mean, maybe that was just kind of a problem with the trailer. They didn't advertise themselves very well.
There's some bad trailers these days, aren't there?
There really are. I think like with the announcement of or the trailer for season 2 of Titans coming out, which we'll talk about in a bit, there's some discussion about the kind of disastrous season 1 trailer that made Robin look like a mass murderer. Jason Todd Robin, not Dick Grayson Robin. We have 2 Robins in the Titans. It's very confusing. So our second poll was on our Justice League fan cast. Again, overwhelmingly, Jules' fan cast won at 67%. 7% said wanted to mix and match our teams, and I got 27%.
It's because I don't take risks.
Yeah.
It's because there are people out there that think gender swapping superheroes. How fucking dare you? That's me slapping lecture on the face. That's people still need time.
And I broke away from some like very traditional. I have a very diverse female cast on my. Yeah, see, the thing is because I don't really read the comics consistently, it's more about the actors that I want to see do stuff than, like, people I would necessarily think, oh, yeah, that absolutely epitomizes, this character.
Yeah.
Plus, I think we've learned with certain actors that they can be really surprising when put into superhero roles.
Absolutely. I think that's correct. I mean, Heath Ledger, for example.
I mean, who would have thought that he would be the kind of most iconic Joker in the DC universe? And finally, we have some news that you were incredibly excited about.
Yeah, this is big. The question was, what are your thoughts on Kevin Conroy being cast as Bruce Wayne for Crisis on Infinite Earths? The winner was It's Cool by a nose. Is that 38%?
It is 38%.
And I'm Losing My Shit was 34%. I was personally in the I'm Losing My Shit camp.
I was personally in the It's Cool camp.
Yeah. It was very close. I'm Losing My Shit was ahead for a lot of the time. 25% of people said who. I can only assume these aren't Batman fans.
I don't know, because I didn't know before we started doing the podcast and you started gushing about Kevin Conroy and we started talking about like various Batmans. Because I never really watched the animated Batman series, and even when I watch animated series, I don't really pay attention to the voice actors. Yeah. So I had no idea who Kevin Conroy was until you informed me.
All I'm saying is that there's a special place in hell for everybody that voted who in this poll. If you're not a Batman fan, you did, fair enough. But if you didn't and you are a Batman fan, and you should know, Kevin Conroy has been voicing Batman in all kinds of media for coming up for 30 years now. He's given more to Batman than practically anybody else except Bob Kane and Bill Finger. He voiced Batman in the animated series. He voiced Old Man Batman in Batman Beyond. He's voiced Batman in the Justice League TV show, numerous Justice League films. He also voiced him in the Arkham Asylum trilogy of computer games. And fun fact about Kevin Conroy, he was the only man that turned up to the audition with a voice for Batman and a voice for Bruce Wayne. Little known fact. And yeah, he's just amazing, and I think he deserves this. As far as I'm aware, I don't think he does like live action TV in any capacity. He's just Batman's voice. So I think this is a great bit of casting, and if I'd have known Bruce Wayne was going to be in Crisis on Infinite Earths, he would have been who I would cast. If it was a film, obviously it's Keaton, because my love of Batman is built on the twin pillars of Kevin Conroy in the animated series and Keaton in the early 90s films. I discovered them pretty much at the exact same time. It's a chicken and egg situation. I couldn't tell you who I discovered first, but they are as important to my becoming a Batman fan as each other. I think he deserves it, and I just cannot wait to see this. Every week we're getting a new bit of casting about this Crisis on Infinite Earths.
On paper, it looks like it's going to be fucking spectacular. I just hope, I really, really hope that they're able to pull it off.
Yeah, we got the air dates this week, and I was slightly concerned by the fact that it's ending on Legends of Tomorrow. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's got Burt Ward in it as well, Adam West's Robin. So I don't know what's going to happen. I hope and I pray that Kevin Conroy's Old Man Bruce Wayne this is a backdoor pilot for a live-action Batman Beyond TV show. I would love that so much. I think Terry McGinnis is the name of the kind of futuristic Batman. I would love to see that, and I just can't wait.
You know that there are rumors floating around that there's going to be another Arrowverse spin-off, so, you know.
Yeah, that's the word on the street. I'll see how it goes. People are going to love it, and god damn, oh my god, I can't even imagine what that TV show would be like.
I mean, I'm a huge Batman fan. I really love him. I don't know that I want a Batman TV show, though.
Like a Batman Beyond one?
I don't know,
I mean, they've set the... Is it Star City 2040?
Yeah.
We've had Central City 2042 or something when she was going to see Reverse Flash. I feel like they're setting something up in the future. I don't know what they're doing, but it feels like it might not be a coincidence that there could be like a Batman Beyond.
The sort of premise of the Arrowverse was they were going to stay away from the Trinity. So I can't really see them having put that mission statement out there that there's going to be no Superman, no Batman, no Wonder Woman, that they're kind of going with the supporting characters. I don't think we're going to get any sort of Batman show. Especially because we just got Batwoman.
I agree with you. And that's my head agreeing with you. My heart is saying, damn you straight to hell.
Yeah, I think what they're going to do is the 2040 Arrowverse gang is going to have their own show, and we're going to have a future set in Star City. I think that's what they're amping up for. I
think you're probably right. I think what we're going to get after Crisis on Infinite Earths is all of these different Earths are going to become one Earth. That's what they did in the comic books. Supergirl's now going to be of this Earth. This futuristic Bruce Wayne's probably going to be of this Earth. I can't remember where Earth 90 Flash, is he alive or dead?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
There's so many Flashes that we've gotten in the Arrowverse that it's really difficult for me to keep track of them all.
And didn't you say possibly the Titans are going to be in Crisis?
Yeah, I think 2 of the Titans characters are going to be on Crisis on Infinite Earths and Black Lightning.
Yes, so I think there will be a Planet Berlanti with all of his shows, all of his superhero shows. This will be the excuse to have them all on the screen together, and there might be kind of more but less people crossovers in the future, like Black Lightning and Flash might team up, or Batwoman and Supergirl might be able to team up because they'll now be on the same Earth.
The really unfortunate thing is, like, the crossover I wanted was Black Lightning and Green Arrow, just because I wanted Black Lightning to kind of smack Oliver Queen around a little bit. Like, you know, Jefferson would not put up with Oliver's angsty shit. He would be like, look, no, I'm in charge.
One bit of great news, though, is that Swamp Thing and this John Constantine are in the same universe, if they are smushed together.
Yeah.
You know, Constantine had a life after the cancellation of his show. You never know. You just never know if Swamp Thing might have some kind of rebirth. I mean, you know, I'm not saying he's going to be a member of the Legends or anything. I think that'd be a horrible fit. But they're there. They exist together.
Welcome to the Geekly. I'm Lex.
I'm Jules.
And we're going to talk about the season finale of Swamp Thing, second episode of Pennyworth, and the first 2 episodes of Manifest.
We're also going to talk about Green Lantern Emerald Knights, which is the latest animated film in our watch through. Let's start by talking about the Titans trailer. What do you think?
I have to say, I'm really excited about season 2 of Titans. I know, like, as far as the DC streaming universe goes, Titans is kind of the weakest show. I think, like, Doom Patrol is probably the strongest, just because Swamp Thing is no more. And then Titans is very obviously the sort of freshman outing for the streaming universe. So I'm really excited to see what they do with season 2. I think they're probably going to branch out. The trailer looks amazing. Jason Todd's going to be in it more, which I'm excited about because I really enjoyed his character. Plus, it comes out on my birthday, which is just perfect, I think. What about you?
I don't know how I feel about there being so much Bruce Wayne. I think it was quite right that we saw I think it was only in like a dream sequence we saw the back of his head as Batman. Jorah Mormont obviously is being cast as Bruce Wayne. He was right there, front and centre. So I'm curious to see what kind of role he's going to take in season 2. I like that we have a kind of trinity. We've got Nightwing, we've got Superboy, and we've got Wonder Girl.
I think so.
I think it must be Wonder Girl. So yeah, they're going to be like a pretty formidable group of people to come up against. But it looks like we're going to get flashback sequences about the original Titans team that Dick Grayson was in when he was Robin. I love the first season. Really interested to see what they do with season 2.
I really hope that this is the season that we actually get Dick Grayson as Nightwing. Like, I mean, I've been waiting for this since season 1 came out. Like, and he's burnt the Robin costume, so he obviously needs a new costume. It's time for Nightwing to come out, and I just think that would be really awesome.
Yeah, so we will be reviewing that weekly when it
Yeah.
comes out, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm
Should we
excited.
start with Manifest?
I found this show very preachy. The concept of it sounds really interesting. You know, it's kind of in-game-ish. This flight takes off and disappears for 5 years, and then it lands, and the people on the plane, for them, like, no time at all has passed, and they've got to kind of readjust to their lives, and then there's this weird psychic thing that's going on, and that's all cool and everything, except that, like, and I probably should have picked this up when, you know, the mom is quoting Bible verses in, like, the first scene, but then it just kind of, the focus became rather on something kind of supernatural or weird or timey-wimey of miracles, and it was all, everything was about miracles and things being miraculous, and, you know, they kept saying, you know, this is bigger than us, and talking about God and stuff, and after a while it was just kind of like, yeah, I'm not interested in this. I'm sure there's an audience out there for it. There are probably plenty of Christian people who are like, yeah, we need a show that, like, really celebrates God and stuff, but it's not for me.
Would you know what I meant if I said this feels more like a Saturday afternoon show than a Saturday evening show?
Yes.
This feels to me like it's a made-for-TV movie, like a Hallmark movie, where at the end of the day, something really bad has happened in their life, they maybe discover God or something, or they discover someone that gives them, not maybe like a religious experience, but gives them kind of a feeling of purpose again, and that's it. They've rediscovered themselves, and that's the end, and these two end up together. It felt very quaint, and people were saying this is kind of like the new Lost.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's just as far away from Lost as I could possibly think. This is Lost if, full spoilers for Lost coming up, this is Lost if episode 1 happened, and then episode 6 onwards happened, where I think they were called the Oceanic 8 or something, where they faked that they'd been on this island and suddenly they were back in the real world. It's like Lost without all the cool jungle island stuff. Gosh, I can't even really think of anything that particularly appealed to me.
So I think that's kind of we're gonna draw a line under Manifest for the show. There's not really any point in keeping up with it. It is kind of in our genre, but I think the religious aspect takes it outside our purview.
Yeah, I mean, people, you're quite right. They were talking about, we've been brought back here for a purpose. One of the passengers created a leukemia trial just as she was leaving to get on this plane. Obviously 5 years later, they got the email, the trial has been tested, it works, it's been funded, it's now saving lives. One of the passengers on the plane has leukemia, and so he is being treated with this thing, and it's all, there is a purpose, destiny and greater thought, you know. I probably enjoyed one scene of the whole entire thing. The final scene, a woman had gone on TV basically saying this is like a government conspiracy, they're hounding us, they're asking us all these questions, I didn't do anything wrong, I blame the government. She goes home, watches her own interview, yeah, like I did okay, and like gets shot in the back of the head by somebody. So
see, I had a problem with that scene because all right, you have this woman who's spouting off government conspiracies on the news. They've told them not to speak to the press. There's like a press blackout and whatnot. The government isn't going to come and shoot this woman in the head, because that's just going to like be like, oh gee, maybe there's something relevant to what she was saying. She's convinced that the government is out to get her, and then after this interview she gets shot in the head in her own living room. Yeah, I think let's investigate this a little bit. They totally would have made it seem like an accident.
There's not a great amount of thought that's gone into this so far. The acting's not really that great. Storyline's not really that great. It doesn't look like anything budgetary, like above a Hallmark Channel kind of production. Lost looked $1 million. Whatever you thought about the story, it always looked $1 million.
And to be fair, Lost was really good until you got to the finale, and then it was just kind of, what the fuck. I
will take a bullet for season 1 of Lost. I think it's one of the greatest seasons of television ever made. We should rewatch it sometime because it's that good. Should we move on? Because
we should definitely move on, because we're just going to be like shitting on this show like over and over and over again.
Normally I'd say to you in situations like this, tell me a redeeming quality of this show. Let's be devil's advocate. Let's try and balance it out. But I can't really think of one. People who like made-for-TV movies, Hallmark movies, will probably be appealed to this, but in this day and age,
I just keep thinking of Touched by an Angel. Like, if you're a fan of Touched by an Angel, you will dig this show.
I think you've pulled an absolute blinder out of the hat there. That's a very good thing to relate it to. There are so many better things out there right now. There was a show I watched. God, I can't remember the name of it. It was about a space. Did you watch it? Like a spaceship? Must have been about 5 years ago. They think this ship is going through space. They're like humanity's saviour.
Oh yeah, Ascension.
I really enjoyed that.
And that was absolutely brilliant. I wanted more. I
Me too.
was so pissed off that it was just like, cause it was only like what, 3 episodes or something. It was an incredibly short season.
Yeah, they were like 3 hour 20-minute, like a Sherlock season. Yeah, watch Ascension. Basically, we should review Ascension.
We should review Ascension.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't really think there are any redeeming factors to this. Is what I was going to say. So should we just move straight on?
Yeah, let's
draw a line under this and move on.
Yeah, that's it for Manifest. Let's talk about Pennyworth a little bit. I really want to like this show. I like the aesthetic. It kind of appeals to my whole kind of James Bond fandom, but the storylines I find are just very dull. I want bigger stakes, more action. Not a whole lot is happening. This episode was basically about Alfred turning down a job and trying to get his security company off the ground. Yeah, I'm really not that into it.
This show, again, I think I said Peaky Blinders last week, also Endeavour this week. It reminds me of just quite a standard period police procedural. It's very stylised, like you said. It feels like it could be based on a graphic novel, but I don't know what that novel is and who it would appeal to. It's got the kind of comic book feel, like the graphic novel adaptation feel to it in places. Yeah, there's just something missing, but I am enjoying it more than I'm disliking it, and I will probably continue to watch this. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea at all. In a world of kind of superhero stories where the stakes are otherworldly, this will feel so one man and his dog in relation.
Yeah, I think I'll probably wait and maybe just binge it all at some point.
What did you make of the public execution that was televised scene?
I had a lot of questions about that. I mean, it was a really brutal execution, and I was legitimately sitting there going, is this a part of British history that I just did not know about?
So was I. But yeah, this is like very much an alt reality. That's kind of where it made me kind of think less Endeavour.
I found it kind of weird because, as you said, Endeavour is a good one to bring up because like last week when we first watched it, Endeavour was kind of one of the ones that I thought of. If you don't know, Endeavour is the kind of prequel to the Inspector Morse series. Endeavour Morse is a famous British detective. If you're in the States, you may not know about him. So they made kind of a like 1940s, 1950s, when he's a young man, basically at the start of his career, sort of thing. So this is very much in the same vein, and it sticks quite a bit to reality and kind of historical period, even though it doesn't really specify when exactly. Like we think it's kind of 60s-ish Britain,
certainly post World War II, because he's come back from World War II.
So maybe the 50s. They don't actually say it's 1956 or whatever. But then we get this execution scene, and it is like so divorced from the real world. It kind of felt out of place in the rest of the show.
It made me feel like it was less Endeavour, more like an Endeavour V for Vendetta hybrid, which I was very on board with, I have to be honest.
I mean, that was the point where I was like, yeah, this is very comic book graphic novel kind of thing, but I don't feel like they set up the alternate reality.
Not at all. It was it was jarring, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking, like, I almost texted you. And
it was televised as well.
Yeah,
People were watching it on
People
TV.
were watching it on TV, and they're like disemboweled. Like,
it was hanging, and you think,
then,
okay, they're going to be hung. And then this guy brings it was like something out of it was like a scythe. It was like out of a horror movie or something. Just slash across the belly, and all their intestines would come out, like you said. Disemboweling. I mean, what is there to say about that scene?
I mean, it was a really effective scene. It was a really interesting bit of world building, but they just did not set it up well enough, and they didn't give us enough hints that at some point they were going to drastically diverge from reality. I mean, I suppose somebody could argue, well, it takes place in the Batman world, you should know that this is going to happen, but I mean,
it barely takes place in the Batman world.
It barely takes place in the Batman world.
I'm hoping this is kind of a scene of things to come, where we get some real alt reality.
Like, I would be really interested in that. If they start going, like, really, really separating from real world to this kind of alternate Gotham-esque thing. Because the thing I was thinking when I was watching this scene is, like, yeah, I could totally see this happening in Gotham. Absolutely, I would 100% believe it.
Which villain would be doing that, in a sense? I agree with the entire... Let's speculate who's kind of MO that would be.
Maybe Two-Face, because I could see it actually being part
Justice.
of... Yeah, Justice. And kind of, with him still as the prosecuting attorney, sort of instituting this, we're going to really crack down on crime, so when you get executed, it's going to be like really hardcore.
I liked it when the mum was watching, because the person that was meant to be hung was the woman that kidnapped Esme in the first episode. Still can't get over that it's played by Paloma Faith. She's really good. Alfred's mother, just watching it, and she says she'll be writhing in hell forever, boggered by scale demons. I'll put the tea on.
That was a great moment.
Yeah, that cracked me up. Yeah, I'm going to continue to watch this, and if I watch an episode and I think it's kind of a bit more us, maybe I'll recommend it for a one-off viewing kind of in the middle of the season. But it had my curiosity. It's kind of got my attention now.
It has a lot of potential. There's a lot of interesting things about it. It's very tangentially associated with our kind of genre.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that it has DC characters in it, it is not what I would call a comic book or superhero story.
Yeah, I'm going to be very sad to see the breakdown of Alfred and Esme's relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it does look really sweet, but we know where it's going to go, so it's just kind of a matter of what... I think they're probably going to kill her.
Oh, I know, it's going to be so sad.
Yeah.
He's going to go on this fucking vendetta, killing everybody. The trope we talked about last week, the overdone trope. Should we pivot onto Swamp Thing?
Yes, let's do. So this was the season finale of Swamp Thing. So I commented a little bit on when we reviewed episode 8 that at this point in the season, the pacing issues are very evident, that it was cut down from a 13 episode season to a 10 episode season. I thought episode 9 kind of redeemed that a little bit, but this does not feel like a season finale.
I mean, we know the show was meant to be 13. We presume they knew it was going to be cancelled. What did they hope to achieve by releasing this episode the way it was released?
I actually have no idea.
Neither do I.
To me, this just felt like a regular episode. It could have happened in the middle of the season. Definitely not what you would expect for a season finale. Certainly not what you would expect for a series finale. Swamp Thing exited with a whimper more than a bang.
Was this episode about between 45 and 50 minutes?
Yeah, I think so.
I would speculate that Swamp Thing was in it for less than 10.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I mean, we did get to see him fighting a little bit, which was kind of cool. I enjoy him, making use of his powers, but most of it was about Abby and Swamp Thing kind of coming to terms with the fact that he is not actually Alec Holland, even though he has Alec's memories and feelings and I guess kind of thought processes, which sort of begs the question of like what makes a person. Like if you have somebody's memories, does that then make you that person? I don't know. It's an interesting question.
We speculated last week about what would make this an acceptable finale. I wanted some kind of grand beatdown, showdown between Swamp Thing and something on his level. Not only did we not get that, we didn't really get any kind of real... I mean, he went up against the army guys. We'll talk about that more maybe in a second. The main kind of finale confrontation was Abby versus Woodrow. Yes, the show basically revolves around her. It's called Swamp Thing, but she is the prime character. I get why we saw her kind of go up against Woodrow, save the wife, but that's not really what I wanted in a finale.
Well, and she didn't even really save the wife.
No,
because the cops,
the police came to the phone, yeah. And then at the end, it's Swamp Thing and Abby saying, well, we haven't dealt with all these problems, but we'll deal with them in the future. We'll be a team, and let's look to the future and solve all these issues. The end. That's not the kind of the balance I think the episode should have struck. Apparently the ending was rewritten in the knowledge that this was the final episode, but it's just left me kind of a bit cold.
Yeah, I think it was a really easy way to end the series. And the adventure continues, off screen kind of thing. I also didn't like, although I do wonder, the Blue Devil. I would have liked to see him come in earlier in the season. I'm wondering if this is kind of like a backdoor pilot sort of thing, because again, he's going off to find himself or whatever. He can finally leave Murray, and the last time we see him, he's like driving out of the city limits. And the kind of backdoor pilot thing is the only reason I can think of that they would wait until the penultimate episode to introduce a brand new character like that, unless they couldn't think of any better way to save Abby and Liz, who has a third job at this point. She's a reporter, she works at the restaurant, and now she's taking over the comic book shop, so like she's very quickly becoming the busiest person in Murray. Yes, I'm just curious if we're actually going to see him again, or what the point of his storyline was in Swamp Thing.
The thing I liked about this episode was that there were horror elements. It was mostly stormy, mostly nighttime. We saw Alec's body. I liked him picking the soldiers off like one by one in the woods. It felt kind of like Predator. The line, we're not hunting it, it's hunting us. Quite a expositional line, but I did like that scene. I just think that's the kind of horror we should have had like through the whole series. I think the whole thing basically should have taken place at night. A lot more to do with the swamp. I didn't really understand why, when Avery put the sheriff in the boot of the car, put it in the water, Swamp Thing didn't kind of save her, because I thought that was his...
I wondered the same thing. That was kind of his thing.
That's his thing. Like, he is sheriff of the swamp. He deals... We joked about it last week, and the squirrels come to him with a problem. Yeah. I thought he'd swoop in, save her, and then he might have this one-to-one with Avery or something. It just never came. It was always teasing us these confrontations would happen, but they never came. And again, we had all these expositional conversations. Avery and Delroy, Avery, and the sheriff before he put her in the trunk of the car. It was just telling us all these things instead of showing us, giving us some action, giving us something kind of worthy of a season finale. And it just petered out, and it will never come back. And it will mostly be remembered by people as this show that just didn't particularly end well. They'll forget about the beginning, which was kind of electric, and they'll just remember the end.
They'll just come away with the disappointment, which is a shame because it had a lot of potential. I mean, for me, I like you, I would have liked them to embrace the horror element a bit more. I would have liked more focus on Swamp Thing, more focus on what is actually happening in the swamp. We got a little bit of that in the beginning, and it was really interesting, and then it kind of dropped off when the CDC left. The whole green flu thing just got brushed to the side. The little girl got brushed to the side. Became about Woodrue trying to save his wife. Became the kind of central focus of the story, and it was kind of boring, that storyline. Woodrue isn't really a particularly inspiring character. Neither was his wife. I mean, I know she had dementia, but they didn't really develop her that much. Abby didn't really seem to be doing much of anything except wandering around the swamp, and it just, about halfway through, it sort of lost its direction, and I think this ending kind of really, really reflects that. It felt not necessarily rushed, but just like, I mean, the pacing of the episode wasn't rushed, but it felt like the writers in writing it were trying to cram in as much as possible, knowing that this was their last episode, and they had to. So yeah, it wasn't particularly well structured.
Yeah, I think I said to you a few weeks ago, does this need more conflict? I think you said yes. So this week we had Alec talking to Swamp Thing. It was like this vision he would see of Alec, and
it's kind of like his conscience speaking to him, or his subconscious.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And we could have had some great conflict about this quest for self. Do I exist? Who am I? Whose memories do I have? Am I Alec? Am I me? If I'm not Alec, who am I? But that, again, we didn't really get anything there. I asked you also if like a villain had emerged, and we've had this kind of race over the past 5 episodes of Woodrue and Avery each trying to outdo themselves with these kind of very human, very small, insignificant bad deeds that kind of kept pushing each other ahead of the other. And it got to the point where with the season finale we still didn't have a real true villain. They were both as bad as each other, but they're both quite tame villains.
Well, and like I expected, I don't know why because it was the last episode, but Woodrue ate Swamp Thing's organs, and it did something to him where he could like feel the green, and then he was just taken down, and that was kind of the end of it. I sort of expected him to kind of become that supernatural villain, you know, like sort of have some of Swamp Thing's powers, but with his kind of very skewed amoral logic, and actually be something that Swamp Thing would need to be, like we would need Swamp Thing to go up against him to stop him, but he was taken down by Taser.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter that apparently there is a post-credit scene of him becoming something. I didn't watch it at the time. I've not been really compelled to watch it since. So he does have some kind of transformation, but for what? What's the point?
Yeah,
there's not going to be season 2. You had your chance, and it's kind of, you know...
It's another Blue Devil situation, you know. Why at the very end do you introduce these new characters unless it is kind of a setup for Justice League Dark, which it may be. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think last week I said to make this season finale a success, they would have needed an addition of some element we had no clue about. Nothing that the show had told us exists previously to this the season finale. Him eating something in the first scene, becoming something on a par with Swamp Thing, having a kind of confrontation could have helped.
Yeah.
But there's no point kind of keeping your powder dry for series 2 because you ain't got one.
Yeah.
So we're just left wanting, I think, really. Looking back over the whole season, what do you feel? Would you kind of rate it as?
I feel let down and a little bit frustrated. 1, because it had such a promising start. 2, the horror element. 3, I think Swamp Thing could fit an area of the superhero genre that we don't really have at the moment, the kind of monster hero. I mean, we have some anti-heroes, we have some arrogant heroes, we have a lot of heroes, but we don't really have a lot of monsters trying to redeem themselves. It's basically a good idea executed very badly, and I always just feel a little sad when that happens because, okay, granted, you know, maybe they'll decide to reboot the show, but it's already out there, and this is kind of the benchmark for Swamp Thing. Maybe they'll go on and do like a Justice League spinoff and Swamp Thing will be in it and kind of get new life like Matt Ryan's Constantine has on Legends. Maybe not, but I think a lot of good was put into this, but it was managed badly.
I just want to know what would have happened in the final 3 episodes. I presume Woodrue's creature would have had something to do with it.
Yeah.
but we'll never know.
We'll never know.
What a shame. Let's move on to Green Lantern Emerald Knights.
I have to say, Green Lantern is probably my least favorite character out of either universe. Every time it comes up, I just kind of go oh, Green Lantern.
I mean, Police in Space kind of sounds amazing when you put it like that, but it's never... I mean, I think there might eventually be a good film, and that might bring a lot more people into it. But
I think the problem with Green Lantern is his power is too flexible. He can do just about anything with that ring and kind of manifest just about anything. So it doesn't really seem like there's much of a challenge for him. It's kind of like Superman, you know? Superman can pretty much take on anything. And to have a villain that feels worthy is really difficult. So yeah, I think I just find Green Lantern a bit boring. Maybe a bit too goody two-shoes.
I thought this film was, just for some context, better than All-Star Superman, Superman/Shazam, The Return of Black Adam, both of which we've watched recently. I didn't think it was as good as Batman Under the Red Hood, Batman Superman Public Enemies, or Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, which again we've reviewed on the show recently.
So that kind of places it fairly middling.
Yeah.
About average.
Yeah, about average. It was one of those films where there were a series of short stories within the film, but unlike Batman Gotham Knight, I like the framing device that this film had. While they were waiting to take on this huge villain, which, you know, again, we don't know much about Green Lantern, we're not particularly big Green Lantern fans. This was a villain worthy of Green Lantern. Krona, this huge guy that was basically standing on top of a sun, all these tiny little Green Lanterns all around about to fight against them. So while they were waiting for this big conflict, we had these 5 short stories. They weren't all great. My favourite was Mogo Doesn't Socialise, which is where this bounty hunter goes from planet to planet fighting their best warriors. He's killed them all. As he's killing what he thinks is the final great warrior, he says, "Tell me I'm the best." He says, "You are the best, except for Mogo." And the guy's like, "Who the fuck is Mogo?" So this guy is about to die, sends him to this planet, and this guy lands on the planet, searches the whole planet for Mogo, looking to take down this great warrior, and at the end you find out that Mogo is the planet. He's this living planet who happens to also be a Green Lantern, which is quite cool. So framing device, yes, I liked maybe 2 of the 5 stories, thought were quite good. Kilowog was the other one I liked, but then the final confrontation I thought was quite grand. To see this in a live action film would have been Avengers level kind of spectacle, which I I think we both really would have enjoyed. They were all losing, and then Mogo, the planet, comes up and just fires his Green Lantern ring, which is the size of a planet, and they destroy the guy. Yeah, I'm quite happy with this. It hasn't changed my life, but this is better than I would say probably the majority of films we've watched so far in this kind of watch through.
Probably better than the Green Lantern films. The live action films. Yeah, I think I would agree with you. It's probably about average. You know, it's nothing spectacular. It's not going to change my life. It hasn't magically won me over to being a Green Lantern fan. But there are definitely far worse animated films out there.
Yeah, I like Nathan Fillion as the Green Lantern.
I enjoy Nathan Fillion in just about everything he does, but yeah, as the Green Lantern, it kind of ups the entertainment value a little bit. I think the Green Lantern needs a little bit of an edge, which could be dangerous because trying to sort of sharpen some comedic characters, you could very easily just tumble down into creating a bunch of Batman clones. But I think Nathan Fillion is able to bring that kind of little bit of snarkiness into it that enhances the humor of the character.
So I would recommend this to anybody who's interested in kind of DC animated films. If you're interested in the Green Lantern, you'll probably get a kick out of it. If you're interested in a little intro to the Green Lantern, I would recommend this over the other Green Lantern film we watched, animated film we watched, definitely.
Yeah. The other one was pretty bad.
Yeah, the other one was pretty bad.
Anyway, that is our show for this week. You can find us on Patreon /Geek Nerd and on Facebook /The Geekly. We're also on Twitter @GeekNerdPod, and our website is geeknerdpod.com, where you can catch up with all of the various things we're doing, plus some of the other shows that are in development.
Thank you to our new listener in the Netherlands.
I sworn we had the Netherlands before. Maybe I'm just living in an alternate reality where a glimpse of the future or something. Who knows? Yeah, I read too many comic books. See ya.
See ya.